And welcome to another YuGiOh Duel's video. So that was something a little bit different, I guess. But today I'd like to let you guys know on the updates regarding this Bakura event thus far. So far, the entire episodes and progress through this entire event has pretty much been smooth sailing and pretty easy to overcome. So the Destiny board is kind of like a bonus where you gotta duel against certain particular duelists which have certain traits or use a certain type of playstyle or even like monsters in their entire deck. So all you need to do is fulfill those categories of what kind of requirements are there, and you can complete the Destiny board part 1, part 2 and finally part 3. So the first part you'll be obtaining a sleeve, the game mat, and finally an icon which is for this entire event as well. So as you can see, I'm on the last site already, so all I need to do is participate in a duel and duel against Bakura as much as I can, as well as Dark Master Zork, who appears from time to time when the duel meter is filled up. So as you can see, I've already obtained up to 5 copies of Zombie Power Struggle, and this quick play spell has been pretty handy if you're playing a zombie deck. So if you're using it in combo with Zombie World, you can essentially turn all monsters into zombie types, and this card can be both an offensive and defensive skill, so you can target a zombie type monster on the field, increase or decreases attack points by 1000 points. So you combo with Zombie World, you can turn your opponent's monster attacking monster, reduces attack points by 1000, and see how much damage will return back onto them. Next up is a card called the one with the spell card called the Overpowering Eye. This essentially targets your monsters so that when they attack, they can attack directly, especially for zombie type monsters with less than 2000 attack points can do so. So let's say for sure you have a certain kind of Synchro Xyz monster who's a zombie type, and when it deals direct damage, certain traits or effects will be activated. This is one way you can do it. Also, you can use it for monsters who are not even zombie type monsters, but you need to use Zombie World to turn them all into zombie type monsters. It's essentially to activate this kind of effect. And if your monster is more than 2000 points of attack, do not worry, you can activate this spell card, Zombie Power Struggle. That way you can, upon attacking directly before the damage takes place, activate this quick play spell and increase that monster's attack points up to 1000 just for that finishing blow, just like that. So I'm just not very far behind. I got a few more points to go before I get the event completion icon for this entire event. And for the episodes, I'm all pretty much done, and I can pretty much sit back, relax, and wait for the next upcoming event. But that's beside the point, because today I will be sharing with you a deck profile I've been trying out on my own. And as the title of the video does say, it's the Power Rangers of the YuGiOh series. So as you can see, the Super Quantum monsters are basically kind of like the Power Rangers as kind of design as you look at it. Although they are of the same archetype, they are different types altogether. For blue, you have a Psychic type, for red, you have Warrior, and for green, you have Spellcaster. Whereas for the support called Super Quantal Fairy Alpha, this is considered a Super Quantum archetype, but it is Quantal instead of Quantum. So you cannot activate the field spell, essentially turning it into a particular monster to go into the XC summoning of Super Quantum Mech King Great Magnus. But as usual, the XC monsters are mostly machine type, so that's one way you can cheat out to get this Great Magnus is to go into Dreadnought. So the reason I actually spend a lot of my gems is because I'm trying to build this archetype, because this seems like an fun archetype to go around. So because I only managed to obtain about 1 copy of Red Layer, since inside the box you only get 2 copies of Red Layer and 1 copy of Blue Layer thus far, it's actually hard to actually build a full deck unless you finish the entire box and reset it to see what kind of cards you're gonna get the next time round. But for the cards like Super Quantum Green Layer, it essentially functions like a Goblin Blurk, so when you normal summon this monster, you can special summon a Super Quant monster from your hand onto the field. So essentially you can activate this effect upon summoning, then special summon either Red Layer or Blue Layer during that turn, as well as Fairy Alpha if you want to go for it. Activate the field spell to discard a card from your hand, and XC summon into the Super Quant XC monsters of each their individual ranks. The field spell also has a second effect where you have 3 Quantal Mech Beast monsters, XC monsters with different names you control or are in your graveyard. Special summon a Super Quant Mech King Great Magnus from your extra attack. So essentially, if you manage to gather all 3 of these Xyz monsters onto the field, you can Xyz summon into Great Magnus during that turn, but it does take up a lot of effort for you to do that, and Super King Great Magnus doesn't have a great effect, since its effects are quite dependent on how many materials it has. So if you actually have 3 of these monsters, each of them have 1 Xyz material each. If you were to use a field spell, 3 times 2, 6, and essentially you'll have basically 6 Xyz material overall. So you have 2 materials you once per turn, either play his main phase, detach and shuffle a card on the field into the deck. This basically targets either your side or your opponent's side of the field. That's one effect that's actually pretty handy overall. And not to mention, if you have 4 or more effects, it's unaffected by card effects except Super Quant cards overall. Meaning you can activate the trap card to give it a boost of attack points and also allow it to attack multiple times during that turn. Aside from that, if you have 6 or more Xyz materials, your opponent cannot add cards from the deck to the hand by card effects. So overall, the effects are pretty okay-ish if you want to go in depth in that kind of way. But if you want to get into Great King Magnus on a very fast scale, I'd recommend using Dreadnought. That way you can go into Super Quant Great King Magnus during the end phase and basically have a 3.3600k beater on the field just like that. Not to mention with the trap card Super Quant Max Sword Magnus Slayer, you can equip it to your Super Quant monsters, gains 100 attack points bonus based on its rank. Not to mention it allows it to do piercing damage, and if you send this card from the field to the graveyard, that monster is able to attack up to 3 times during each battle phase as well. So this is a great card for the finishing blow. Although the attack points is just kinda there, just to give you a kind of bonus, but to be able to attack up to 3 times during each battle phase, now that is a great card to have. So as you can see from all the cards themselves, they have a pretty low stat line, which is why I added Trolley Ollie. So if I were to go into Dreadnought, at least I'll go up to 3000 attack points just like that. Whereas on the other hand, if you want to go to Quantum Blue Layer and you do not have the field spell, you can activate Super Quant Fairy Alphonse effect, essentially making monsters on the field all equal to a specific Super Quant monster level, just like that. And that way you can go into either Super Quant Magby's Ouroboros, or even Grand Pulse, or even Magna Liger. So Magna Liger has a pretty decent effect. It detach a material to destroy a card in the field. However, I would like to let you guys know, although you are able to Xyz into these Xyz monsters using 1 material and by discarding a card, these monsters are not able to attack unless it has materials. So do keep an eye on that if you were to activate any of their effects. So essentially, if you're going to go activate the field spell, normally you would use it to go into Super Quant Magnus. But if you're going to the route for Dreadnought, that is the easier path for you to get King Magnus out as easy and has enough materials as possible. So since I've gone enough of the spells and the traps themselves, let's go into a duel and let me show you what this deck is all about. Okay, let's see what we get in our opening hand this time. Let's hope it's something good.
I will avenge.
Okay, that's pretty decent.
Here I go. Get ready. I end. You're my no turn. Threat to me.
All right.
I draw.
It's perfect. Special summon.
I special summon a monster.
Okay, should we summon this monster? Let's not do that yet.
From my hand,
Let's set this card face down, and then we'll just continue on with the battle phase right now. So attack, 2000 points of damage right there.
Here I go.
And let's see what he brings up next.
I'll play this.
Okay, doubling its attack points, that's fine as well.
You're no threat to me. I draw.
Alrighty then. Let's normal summon Quantum Green Layer. Since the Red Ranger is down, let's bring out the other green layer onto the field.
I special summon a monster.
And now we just Xyz into Magby's Ouroboros for this first one.
Come out. I Xyz summon a monster.
And get our attack on, just like that.
I attack you directly.
Essentially, we can end the battle real quick, like just now, by activating the trap card. But I'm not gonna do that just yet.
This isn't good at all. My turn. I end my turn.
Okay, so for Ouroboros, he has the effect of detaching a material, target another face-up monster on the field, and turning it face down. But we're not gonna activate the effect since that is only applies if your opponent has something strong on the field. So let's activate the trap card right there, giving it piercing battle damage and extra bonus attack points, just like that, and he can win the duel.
Agami, please forgive me. Do you now remember what you've done, Bakura?
So essentially, just now I could have Xyz using red layer earlier on, but because I want to see how the duel is progressing, most probably I'll post a duel video where I actually activated the field spell's effect of turning all of these monsters into one big Megazord of King Magnus. So as you can see, the panel is complete. All we need now is to basically complete all of the quests which are currently available, win against a duelist who's related to the color of pink, as well as someone who's related to Stripes. So Stripes normally refers to most probably Bakura, and also for pink, Taya, or maybe a standard duelist who uses pink as well. And as usual, the mission circuit is still going on, so you get bonus when you duel against legendary duelists, multiplied by 3, or even standard duelists overall. And now Dark Master Zork appears. You gotta duel against him, and you can select on whatever levels that you want to duel against him thus far. So currently he has level 20, 40 and 60, so on and so forth. And as you can see, the rewards are basically the same if you go up against the usual Bakura or Dark Side Dimensions. So that's basically it to the introduction of Super Quantal monsters and the deck itself. I'm still working around the kinks to see how to make this deck much more efficient. So as you saw just now, this card allows you to go to tribute itself, and the opponent selects up to 3 of these monsters, actually 4 of these monsters, and you basically select 3 and they have to choose one of the 3 so to special summon onto the field, while the rest goes to the graveyard. Super Quant monsters also have a great effect when they are sent to the graveyard. For example, Super Quantum Red Layer has the effect when sent to the graveyard, target another Super Quant and special summon onto the field, whereas green allows you to draw an extra card, and for Blue Layer you can shuffle them into the deck. So that's basically one of the few ways you can play around this, and if you want you can basically purchase as much as you want from the box and see if you can get any more of these cards if you want to try this deck for yourself overall. And once you manage to get up to 2 or 3 copies of Blue Layer, 2 to 3 copies of Red Layer, your deck is pretty much set and you don't need to do much after that. And we can basically get rid of Dreadnought if you want, because this card is just basically there for assurance, just in case I do not draw into any of the Super Quant monsters and I need to go into Xyz summoning real fast. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time in the upcoming video when this event ends and the new event begins. So until next time, stay safe. Most important of all, keep dueling. Goodbye and good night.